Hey, those guys are getting along now. Hey, on our phone is Jim Carrey. I could ask him all my questions about this show. Jim.
Hey, Howard. How you doing, man?
Look at you. Where are you, in L.A.?
I am in L.A. in a comfy armchair.
Are you dressed?
Crusty from a good night's sleep.
Oh, you just woke up.
Oh, yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
How does your beard wake up?
Oh,
Does
stop
that
with the
wake
beard. Everyone's fascinated by that beard.
It left me.
Jim, you
like
shaved
everybody else, man, my beard left.
Oh, you shaved it?
Yeah, I did.
Why?
It was a big ball of fuzz.
Did you save it in a bag?
It did.
Oh, God.
In the Smithsonian, man.
You know what you ought to do?
You're still doing this after all this time. I was just marveling about that before I called in. I was just thinking, Howard is still on the air.
Yeah, still doing his thing. Are you sick
wake
of...
up at 3 in the morning.
Yeah.
You go to work, to a darkened studio.
Yeah.
You're like a vampire.
I know. That's like
you never see the light of day.
Yeah, like
I have a new name for you.
Like, think about
Nosferatu.
Nosferatu.
Schnosferatu.
Oh, or Nas. No, yeah, Schnosferatu is good. Or what about what was that other name I gave myself?
Nostradamus.
No, Nostradamus.
Nostradamus.
Nostradamus. That's nice. Very nice. I knew you were going to say that.
No, Jim, I'm saying, like in your paint, Jim likes to paint. He's a real artist. You know,
He's an artist.
He's not a bullshit.
You too, man. You're amazing.
Yeah, we both paint, and we've talked about that.
Paintings and stuff, and it's been kind of cool. I really like your stuff.
But what if you made like a paintbrush out of your beard hair, or incorporated your beard hair into your painting? I could see you doing something crazy like that.
Well, I've heard about that. I've heard about people in San Francisco that like hang from trees and swing back and forth over naked bodies and stuff like that. But I'm not into that yet.
So true.
Yeah, but
Jim.
no, my brush is gone. My brush is gone. Now I'm this freaky no chin dude that I can't even get used to it at this point. It's been several days, and I just cower away from my own reflection in the mirror. I have no chin.
In a way, I was actually thinking of growing one of those beards because, like, my neck now is all kind of getting old, and I just like the beard would
Definitely covers up the turkey neck.
Yeah, and I mean, like, what am I going to do? Get plastic surgery or something?
Yeah.
And
you need to put a couple of clamps on there and tie it on the top of your head.
Yeah, maybe I should just do that.
Yeah, you can hide it under your hair.
Clamp it up.
Yeah.
Tape it up. I've seen it in the makeup trailer, like guys that you think are like in their 40s and stuff, and they literally tape their necks to the back of their head.
They did that in my movie.
Crazy.
I had to play me at 18 years old, which was not believable, but to the best of our ability, they would tape they put a wig on me, and then they would tape my skin into the wig.
I know.
To pull it all the way back, and you know what? Looked pretty fucking good, honestly.
Looked amazing, right?
Yeah, it really did.
But
you just have to get a team
skinny,
to do that to you every day.
Yeah, I need a team.
When you get skinny, your penis looks bigger. It's the same thing. It's like, it's all an optical illusion.
Not me, man.
It's like, I count on forced perspective down there.
Jim, I was talking...
By the way, your paintings of your own penis are incredible.
Thank you. I send them to Jim.
I didn't know he did that.
A big fan of minimalism.
No, Jim and I, once in a while, will email each other, and Jim will send me some video of him painting, because I like to see his process. And although I need to see more, you only show me like at the end.
Well, I cube out my genitals and stuff.
Yeah, but he'll send me, and like he looks so happy doing it. Like
I think happy, man, because I'm completely involved. That's the key. The key to happiness is total involvement and immersion.
No, but seriously, you sometimes will suffer from depression and stuff. When you're painting, does that get rid of all the symptoms?
Yeah, I don't really have a depression thing going on anymore. I just have,
Why are you giving him depression?
Insane, massive blows to my ego that I have to handle.
No, he had depression at one point in his life.
Yes, I did. I dealt with depression, and I was on antidepressants for a little while, and then I found kind of a holistic cure for it, and which involved like HTP and DHEA and stuff, the natural elements that kind of create serotonin and dopamine, and they don't you don't just like use it up with the uptake inhibitors, and you never get anywhere, So
well, you're doing transcendental meditation too, right?
do that. I do that. Yeah, and you've done that for a long time too, right?
Since I'm like 18 years old. But didn't you put your money where your mouth was? Didn't you start like taking gang members and teaching them transcendental meditation?
Yeah, it's the new thing I'm doing down at Homeboy Industries.
Wow.
Father Greg, who is like this incredible heart, this really amazing guy. And he just walked into gangland in the middle of in the early '80s when it was the worst it's ever been. The violence down there. This priest with white hair and this white beard, looking like Santa Claus, walking up to gang members and talking about Jesus, and he won them over.
And when you say he won them over,
watch.
you then said to them, "Hey, listen, if you want, I'll pay for you to learn transcendental meditation."
Yeah, so my foundation, Better You Foundation, is sponsoring that, and we're teaching the people who work down there and gang members to meditate, which is a it sounds like a kind of an easy thing for most people, but it's difficult for most people to sit and be silent and stop their minds from going, let alone somebody who's suffered insane trauma,
Yeah.
So
How many?
what we find with these guys is that the hardest thing for them is to sit in the room with other gang members and close their eyes and trust that they're not going to get offed.
Right.
It's crazy.
How many gang members have you gotten to actually sit and do transcendental meditation?
Well, we're doing 100 people down there, and we're on our way to that. And I went in yesterday and I spoke to everybody, and we meditated together. And
Really?
yeah, but I had one eye open. You know what I mean?
Goddamn right you did. Does anyone like call you Ace Ventura or anything like that? Do they fuck with you?
Oh, no, they love it. They love it. It's just, I'm so lucky, man. I don't know what I did, but I did something that it just makes people kind of present their best selves to me, man. It's beautiful. So I go down there and it's just a freaking field of love.
Really?
Coming at me. Oh, yeah, totally, man. I don't know what it's...
Well, it's pretty nice of you to do that, dude. I'll tell you, I don't know that
I love it, and you see the effects immediately. People are talking about it. They're saying, I've never actually, had anything that could actually stop this circus in my head, and to just be able to do that twice a day it's a huge difference. David Lynch has been doing it with school kids and stuff in troubled areas and stuff, and the test scores go through the roof. And
do the guys quit the gangs, or do they just become better gang members?
No, my original thought was like, I like what they're doing in the schools, and here's a group of people who really have come in from the cold and are looking for something, looking to belong to something and looking to better themselves, and they're removing tattoos, and they're getting job placement, and they're getting training in all these different areas of life skills and stuff from Father Greg, and I just think it's a really great thing, man.
Jim,
it's an incredible vibe down there.
But from hanging out with all these gangs, which is the best gang to join? Should I want to join that life?
Oh my God!
What have you
You'll
decided?
Have to start your own.
Yeah, I mean,
have to start your own.
But like, how they have like the Bloods and the Crips, like those guys are all in the same room meditating.
Yeah.
Wow.
The hips, man.
Wow.
Yeah.
Do you have to be careful? Together. Do you have to be careful what colors you wear when you're like in there?
I just wear gray.
I was talking to Robin about this show.
Don't go in color.
Yeah, no colors. I was talking to Robin about I'm Dying Up Here, which is, the new show you're executive producing. And I said, the first thing is, the life of stand-up comedy, of comedians is a really good idea in general for a TV show because that's such a rich sort of culture. But really what it is it's based on that Mitzi Shore who used to run or still runs or I don't know what she does, but it was all about those years. It's all about those years in L.A. when she ran that Comedy Store, like she ruled it with an iron fist. And all you dudes, because you worked at the Comedy Store when you were starting out, all you guys had to really just kind of suck up to Mitzi and make sure you were in favor with her because she really ruled that place, whether you could get time on stage or not, right?
Yeah, but she really did love the comics. That's the thing. It's like it wasn't just that iron fist thing. It was if she loved you, she was super supportive.
Did she love you?
Yeah, she really loved me. And I never had that feeling of there was some of the stuff in the show, and I guess this was true of some people, that, they didn't like you to play other clubs and stuff, but I just never played that, and she never approached me that way.
What happened to you? Like, you were doing the comedy clubs in Canada when you were a kid, right?
Yeah, but I went to the Comedy Store. I did Yuck Yucks in Toronto, which is, Mark Breslin's club, and the very first time I ever went on stage there, and I got to thank Mark because he really gave me my big break, at Yuck Yucks. But first time I went on there, I was 15 years old.
God.
I went down to Yuck Yucks, and my mother dressed me in a polyester suit. Because that's how they dressed on the Dean Martin roasts.
Right. Good thought.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, this is how Foster Brooks dressed. Nipsey Russell, she saw him in this outfit. So she put me in that, and I went down and I did this corny routine that I wrote with my dad.
Jesus.
And, I was doing impressions of, like, people on the Carol Burnett show and things. And
did you get laughs?
I got a couple of laughs, but it was the tragically hip crowd, man. It was like 2 lanes of a bowling alley with people with, like, turtleneck sweaters on, and Bob Dylan had just left the area, in Yorkville, and Leonard Cohen had made his mark there, and it was this kind of really super hip place. And halfway through my act, I started hearing this the soundtrack of Jesus Christ Superstar saying, "Crucify him, crucify him, crucify him, crucify him." And Mark Breslin got on the microphone backstage and started saying, "Totally boring."
Oh, really?
Boring,
during your set?
Totally boring. During my set, yeah.
Oh.
And they basically just harangued me off stage. And I'm 15 years old.
How the fuck did you mentally deal with that?
I didn't come back for 2 years. This is my MO, man. I go in thinking I'm going to do it. I fail. I hide for 2 years. I get strong. I do a Rocky thing, and then I come back and slay it.
How do you get strong? Do you start writing material?
You just start regrouping and going, okay, that didn't work.
Why do you think you didn't give up? Seriously, like, most people would have said, "Fuck this." That was the worst thing in the world. Guys were goofing on me during my act.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I didn't have a trade.
You didn't have anything else.
This was it.
Yeah.
So, it was never an option for me. I was always going to do it. I didn't know in what capacity, but I had this weird fail-safe part of my brain that went like, okay, it's going to happen another way.
Didn't you write Carol Burnett a letter as a kid, like telling her how?
I was 10 years old. I wrote her and said, I do 150 impressions. I want to be a regular on the show like Tim Conway and Harvey Korman. Stuff like that. And I got a letter back from whoever over at the Carol Burnett show who deals with the fan letters saying, thank you, Jim, and we wish you the best of luck. And, we generally hire our talent through the agencies, but we wish you all the best. And
meanwhile, can you imagine? I'm probably imagining a 10-year-old Jim Carrey probably had some pretty good impressions. It would have been kind of cool to have, like, a little kid as a regular cast member.
Oh, yeah. It would have been brilliant, actually, but I would have been out of control. I don't think anybody should make it in their childhood years. It's just psycho time.
Yeah.
So you don't get to form an ego. And but the first time I ever went to the Comedy Store, it was the same thing. I went down there. I auditioned the same night. My first time was, I think it was 1979. And
how old were you then? I
was 19 years old. And I stayed at the Saharan Motel on Sunset Boulevard, which was like Hooker City. I had never seen anything like it. I thought I had stepped into an episode of Beretta, It was like I got out of the cab, and a girl came up to me and said, "You want a date?" And I thought it was Sadie Haas Day. I was like, okay.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Are you kidding?
Hold on.
This is great. These chicks are loose.
I got her a corsage.
Hired a limo.
Took her to the prom. No, but here's what I don't understand.
I was swimming in the pool in the Saharan Motel, and like people were cracking the curtains of their windows and staring at me and stuff. It was like, it was like Coke parties all night long, and I was up in the daytime. And,
but here's what I don't get. When you're in Canada and you're working clubs and you're like, you're 17 or something, that's one thing. When you come to L.A., you're on your own, right? I mean, you move there.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have your family.
No. You're lucky to be alive after a few years, really, honestly. When I think back of all the stuff I got into and stuff, I think to myself, my God, how did you live through all this? And that's what I wanted to capture with the show, because no one's ever done it. No one's ever seen what it's really like. It's not just, guys jumping up on stage. It's who's the funniest guy in the park, who's the king of the parking lot.
Yeah.
And it's a knife fight in the parking lot because somebody stole the joke. It's crazy. It's more mean streets than Punchline.
Was there a lot of that? Like when you would go, and I mean, like you'd be in the club as a young comic, but you're working the same club. Sometimes like a Robin Williams would come in, or Richard Pryor, or one of these guys.
Unbelievable moments, like to watch these guys working their stuff out, and then there was this crazy, weird, violent aspect to it. The first time I went to the Improv in Hell's Kitchen in New York, I'm like 18 years old at Hell's Kitchen and sitting there in the picture window in the bar, looking out at the street, watching some comic get his face kicked in.
For what? For stealing a joke?
I don't know what it was for, but it was I think it was a Westie thing. It was like a gang thing or something. And I was sitting with Uncle Dirty, I remember, and he said, I jumped up and put my little, Canadian mounted police hat on and said, "We better go help that guy," kind of thing. And he just grabbed me and said, "You don't help people in Hell's Kitchen, man.
Yeah,
and work it out."
Yeah, it seems weird. Why was Robin Williams always being accused of stealing material? Did you find that to be true? I mean,
I think what happened with Robin sometimes is like Robin was, free associating, and so, if somebody said something to him in the parking lot, he would go up on stage and he'd throw out 100 things, and one of them might be that.
Right.
And I don't think it was an intentional, I like that joke, I'm going to take it. He was just free associating, and, when you're up there improvising, you collect everything.
Was Pryor the best comic you saw back in those days? Like, was he the guy you wanted to be?
Well, I knew that Pryor was, the pinnacle of somebody who could think on his feet and would be naked in front of the audience.
Right.
And make it something incredibly special. But when I saw him, he was going through the kind of coming off drugs and doubting himself of his life. Where we'd stand in the parking lot and he'd say, I don't remember 40 years of my life.
Yeah. I mean, when you say you can't,
he'd say to me things like, I'm not sure it was me. Things like that, which shocked the hell out of me as a fan and as somebody who revered him. But then I saw that, that's a moment. That's a moment when somebody's getting straight, that where they have self-doubts and stuff like that. And he went on to come up with great stuff.
I still can't believe how good your act was when you were doing impressions, and then you just threw that all away.
Yeah.
Because you just wanted to...
I went to Vegas, man. I went to Vegas one time, and I saw a bunch of impressionists who are phenomenal. And I just sat there in the audience and I went, "This is not it. I can't end up here. This is not where I want to be, So I went back and I just quit everything. And I went up for about 6 months. First I quit for 2 years. And this is my pattern. I quit for 2 years.
Yeah, it's always 2 years.
But it's always 2 years. The first time I went up at the Comedy Store, I was going to say that I auditioned the same night as Bill Maher.
Really?
And he had his shit together and he did a great set, and he got on as regular. I went up on stage, and the mic fell apart in my hands. And I knew I was screwed right out of the gate, man. I was like, oh, this is not going to be good. And I got off stage, and I literally jogged past Mitzi's table. I didn't look her in her face at all. I went back to Canada for 2 years.
Wow. Really?
Yeah, I didn't even know if she would have put me on as a regular.
When you followed Mar, were you doing impressions back then, or were you starting to do material?
Yeah, the impressionist act. Yeah.
Holy mackerel! You know what? But then you know what's weird? You think about it. All those impression skills got you on TV because all those characters you invented.
Exactly. And so Damon and Keenan saw me doing stand-up and struggling to come up with an act, as well as Judd Apatow was a big fan of mine back then, and he used to open for me. So, they saw me experimenting, And the comics knew what it was, even if the audience wasn't getting it. The comics knew what I was risking, and so I was a big kind of hero with them, and so I was developing stuff. Right.
You mean they admired the fact
I went up for 6 months and didn't repeat a word I said the night before.
You mean they admired the fact that you threw out your whole act as an impressionist and basically were brave enough to go try to be.
And I remember Mitzi saying to me at one point, because it didn't look good at one point, it looked like I wasn't going to actually come up with something, and she was like, "What are you doing? You're the king of impressions."
You know, people give you bad advice.
And I said, hey, they got mad at, they hated when Bob Dylan went electric, man. You got to stretch, So I finally just one day popped up in my bed. It was like after, I don't know, years of playing around and experimenting, and I finally literally woke up in the middle of the night, because I used to go to bed thinking, what do they need? What do they need? What do they need? What do they need? And I woke up in the middle of the night and shot up in bed and thought, they need to be free from concern. And it was like a clarifying moment. And that night, I went up on stage at the Comedy Store, and the first thing I did was, "Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and how are you today?" All righty then, like that, and without really caring how they were feeling, And I began to play the guy who was free from concern. That was a character I played,
Right.
Doing that, I freed them from concern.
You think the audience was too nervous for you? In other words, it was too much pressure in all that.
Yeah. So, to not to care was a relief to the audience,
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's been an incredible process.
And what an incredible time to be a stand-up comic, because in the 70s, which is what the TV show is about, and I assume you put a lot of your own experiences in there.
Oh, yeah, I dump all the time. I go into the writer's room and just go, here's what's bubbled up, because the wonderful thing about this show is it keeps reminding me. Like, when I came to L.A. and I lived in a closet.
Yeah, what do you mean you lived in a closet? How do you live in a fucking closet?
I ran into somebody outside the Improv who had a room, supposedly, and when I got there, it was a closet.
So he was advertising it as a room because he needed a roommate.
Yeah.
And then he opened up the closet door. And he said, "This is your room?"
He said, "Here it is."
How do you sleep in the closet?
Well, I just, there was all the clothing on one side and then on the other side, and that was it. I was pretty happy in there.
Who was this guy? Was he another comic?
He was a friend of mine.
Yeah.
He became a very good friend of mine, Phil Roy. And it was a blast living in that house. And the first morning I got up for breakfast, and there was a girl with no pants on cooking bacon.
Nice.
And I went, all right.
So it's a
Hollywood,
closet.
Brother.
Yeah, who cares? This is fun. And how did you make money for those years when you were were you just getting a
you made like $25 a set, going up at the comedy club. So I used to do the Improv and the Comedy Store, and then the Laugh Factory came along. So that was like, I could make $75 a night,
When you look back on all that.
And I would do $75 a night, and then I'd drive up to Mulholland Drive like a complete psychopath, and pull over on the side of Mulholland Drive in front of all the lights of over Lancashire and in the valley, and dream up my future as if it already was. So I'm a big affirmation guy.
Yeah, you believed in yourself.
I don't know ultimately if I was affirming something and manifesting it, or I actually was psychically knew what was happening in the future, what was going to happen.
Who the fuck knows, I mean, I never believed in myself.
It doesn't hurt, though. Yeah, but, look how terribly you've done.
Do you miss those days? Like, when you reflect on your entire life, and you've had a lot of success, tremendous fame, tremendous fortune, were the happiest times coming up in those comedy clubs and sort of not having that much pressure on you because you weren't that famous at that point? Was that your happiest time in life?
No. I think I'm happy now. Actually, I'm ridiculously happy.
Do you ever go to your house?
I've been through some shit, but I'm super cool. I mean, I'm kind of. I hate to say this because it sounds really goofy and maudlin, but I'm kind of in heaven at the moment. I really have found kind of a place that it's outside of the mental noise, and That's why the meditation is great, and just kind of the way I look at things is.
Do you still give a shit about show business? I mean, okay, you're executive producing this show, and
yeah, no, this is a great thing for me because not only is it a really cool feeling to sit back and to jump in creatively and to have this thing kind of come from my mind, but to hand it off to somebody like Michael Aguilar and Dave Flabat, who've really done an amazing job of like making it a high quality show that's really well written and thoughtful, and watching all these young actors jumping off.
But let me understand something.
So cool.
You came up with this idea for I'm Dying Up Here, right? You're the executive producer. So do you write the show? Do you go into the writer's room?
No, I don't write it. I go in and I download ideas, and I put them in the place. I put them in the time and the place, and basically they've done an incredible job of bringing it to life.
Is Showtime the
but
first?
I went around for about 10 years trying to develop and pitching this thing to people as a film, as a series, whatever.
And they wouldn't do it.
Well, they it just didn't come to fruition. But then when I got with Michael Aguilar, he went, I think I know how we could do this, and he really did an amazing job. So.
And Showtime bought it from you, and
yeah, and they've been cool and supportive too. Their notes have actually been helpful. It hasn't been like, oh, here they come.
Right. In other words, they actually had some good ideas when they.
Oh no, definitely, they have. And
when you were doing
it's
those,
a nice thing. I feel honored, kind of, to be the one to bring this, this space and time to people's consciousness.
Do you ever walk through your house and occasionally say, hey, you know what? I'm going to go sleep in the closet just to remind myself of those days?
Yeah, right. But the closet's as big as my bedroom.
Right.
It's not a stretch.
Yeah, I can imagine what that closet is.
No, it's a good closet.
Were you doing tons?
Closet. That's one of the keys also to happiness is just get enough stuff.
Right.
Get enough stuff. Make sure that you're financially squared away. What do I need? It's like once you get squared away to a certain point, you lose any need for like that hopes and dreams.
Yeah, in other words, you don't
get those hopes and dreams out of the way. What do I need? A double-decker tennis court? I don't use the one I got.
Right. So in other words, the life that you have now is free of pressure. In other words, you'll do a movie.
Not free of pressure, but I have like ways of kind of absorbing and kind of I don't know, processing pressure. That's it's a lot quicker to peace, than it used to be.
Do you ever
I kind of wrap it all up and understand it, and then I take the my out of the equation. Like if you say like woman, money, house, it's just stuff, and it's just abstract. If you go my woman, my money, my house, it's suddenly important, and you get really riled up about it.
So in other words, I think what you're saying is, like, you could do a movie, not do a movie. It's kind of like
do things that are fun, man. I want beautiful. I'll wait for beautiful stuff to find me. I haven't done a lot of movies lately because I just go that way. I'm the 2-year guy. I go away for a while and I hack one limb off to develop the other limb, let the other ones grow, and then I slowly let that one grow back. So that's kind of where I'm at now. I'm excited again and kind of wanting to get back into the fray and do some films,
Was there, you're doing some films, or are you just thinking about it?
I'm looking at some stuff, lining it up, so we'll see.
Would you ever do a TV show? Like, would you ever be...
I never say never, but, it's not I'm pointed toward, but I wouldn't say never. I like the idea of these, on these...
streaming.
I like the idea of these mini-series type of 6 shows.
The longer form, yeah.
Yeah, because they're doing amazing stuff on TV. I mean, there's incredible shows, unbelievable talent is coming out of TV. Incredible actors.
Yeah, some great writing.
Incredible,
really good stuff. Yeah.
And you could really play with the character, and
in weird ways you can get away with so much more on television. I don't know why that is, but you can, because you call it cable, or it's.
I'm working on a project. I'm probably going to tap you for Fox News the musical.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you on Broadway. You're going to play Roger Ailes.
Oh, please let me play Roger
You're
Ailes.
going to be Roger Ailes, and it's going to be very heavy. But I think you
So
can
I'm
handle
going
it.
to have to eat some gluten and dairy.
Yeah, no, we're going to definitely have to fatten you up a bit.
Would you fatten up for the part?
You'll
Yeah.
and shave your head.
Isn't it funny though? Isn't it funny though? Like a few years ago, I got in a lot of flap from Fox News for calling them a media colostomy bag, and
Yeah, I remember
turns out it was true.
I remember they turned on you, man. They were just fucking
did, man.
hammering
They went after
you.
me, and my representatives were like, "You can't talk about Fox News; they're just too powerful." And I'm going,
You're
"No,
going to
what
lose
the
everything.
ball?"
Well,
It's a crazy network of crazy, insane scumbags out there. It's unbelievable what's happening these days.
it is unbelievable what's happening.
I mean, I don't know when this is going to air, but as we're taping, it's like Jeff Sessions is going to testify today.
Yeah.
I mean, just what happened to people's instincts about character, man? It's just crazy. People ignoring their instincts about character. You look at this guy, you turn the sound off. All you need to do is turn the sound off and replace his voice with I like eating spiders. And you've got him in a nutshell.
Well, how is it these guys forget that they met with Russians? That's what I don't get. Like, how
They're not forgetting. They're just like, they're ignoring. It's like this crazy, here's the thing. The bottom line is, speaking hypothetically, of course, if for some reason we voted a steaming pile of dog shit to be the president of the United States, and in turn he appointed to the most important positions in government and as his spokespeople flies that love dog shit and glorified dog shit. It's not going to eventually magically turn into a chocolate bar, even if half the country and the Republican Party want to close their eyes and plug their nose and keep eating it.
Were you surprised that Kathy Griffin got so much blowback on that Trump head picture?
Well, it was in pretty poor taste,
right.
But I didn't, it didn't make me laugh. It was definitely out of fury, but the fury starts in the White House. That animosity started from within his campaign and his world, and he's now getting the reflection back. So let's just talk about where it started. And the fact is, if you look at the Trump care, an oxymoron, and the budget, which is absolute vampirism. It's like this. People are actually going to die from that. It's not just holding up a bloody head, a fake head, a prop. These are people who are going to lose everything.
In other words, the picture is not the thing. It's
the problem is
nobody died from the picture.
It's not the joke. It's the source of the joke. It's the subject of the joke that's the problem.
Hey, Jim, are you an American citizen? Did you ever actually become one?
Yeah.
Oh, you did?
Yeah, man.
I mean, you were born in Canada. I didn't know if you ever actually went and took the test and did that.
No, I did the whole thing, man. I put the right hand up and the whole deal.
Look at you.
Yeah, I know.
Are you sorry you did it now?
Damn it!
How'd you do on your citizenship
I could
test?
sing the national anthem.
Did you do well on the citizenship test? I mean,
yeah, no, I aced it, man.
You were a high scorer.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, I was a conscientious objector though, so that was a bit of a problem.
Hey, clear something up for me. Did you audition for the Matthew Broderick part in Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
No.
Oh, so that's bullshit.
No.
Were you ever mentioned originally as the guy in Back to School that Sam Kinison eventually played?
No.
No?
No.
Where do I get this shit from?
It's just shitland out there.
Yeah.
It's bogus land. This is the problem, that the frickin' web is so filled with crap that that the president can actually say, call journalists liars, and really there's nothing. No, it's kind of indefensible. It's like you can't. Did you really fight it because there is so much crap out there.
Did you turn down the Howard Hughes role in The Aviator, which went to Leonardo DiCaprio?
No. But I was working on a Howard Hughes piece before I actually I think am the reason they kicked that into production, because me and Chris Nolan were working on a Howard Hughes piece.
That was a good story.
I had a crazy Howard Hughes together, too. It would have been amazing.
I could see you as Howard Hughes.
Oh,
like
no, it was amazing.
All the OCD stuff and all that?
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, it would have been great, and it was a great script. But
weren't you going to play Red Fox's son in Sanford and Son?
That's right.
Yeah, I remember that.
I was, yeah.
Well, you know, the world of stand-up comedy is crazy. I mean, we didn't even get into the sex, drugs, and rock and roll. I mean, were you doing a ton of drugs when you were in the in the 70s, sort of?
I experimented. I experimented. You know, it was never a big thing for me. I went in and out. You know, pot was kind of a compulsive thing for me. You know, I tended to go away and just me and my apple bong.
Would you get up? Would you go on stage high? Never.
I only went up maybe twice after smoking a joint, and I slaughtered the house. I
really
annihilated everybody. At one point, Kinnison was at the back of the room, and he was just for fun heckling me and stuff, and I was killing him. I was killing everybody, and I walked off stage, and they said, "Wow, what the hell was that?" And I said, "I'm high."
Isn't that dangerous in a way? That like,
I actually called my dad after that and said, because I had that kind of confusing moment of should I or shouldn't I, and I called my dad, who was a jazz musician.
Right.
I said, "Dad, you must have dealt with other musicians that were getting high to play and stuff like that." And he said, I did, but I always figured if I made it that way, I wouldn't be able to own it.
So then you do. In other words, you resisted the temptation to get high on stage more.
Yeah. And but there was so much insanity that went on, man. It was unbelievable. Some nights, I'd bomb so badly that I would crawl into the piano and close the piano on myself for the next 4 acts.
It's hard for me to imagine you
bombing.
bombing.
That I was in the piano.
It's hard for me to imagine you bombing. You know what I mean?
Well, knowing experiment, you gotta.
You don't do stand up anymore, though. You wouldn't.
The first few rockets don't make it off the pad. You know what I mean?
Would you ever do stand up again? Like, would you try it?
Yeah, I probably would at some point. I don't know. I don't really feel like doing it right now. I'm painting.
I know, but I'm saying,
and just trying to zombie my way through my regular job.
Yeah, I don't know. I'll talk to Jerry Seinfeld. He still loves doing stand up. Like, he would never give it up. It's in his blood. It's like he's just got to go do it. But
and he's phenomenal too.
Right.
He's just an incredible technician.
Kinnison was the best, wasn't he?
Kinnison was incredible.
Like, Seinfeld's great at it. Louis C.K. now great at it. Sam
was like, he was Charlie Parker.
Did you hang with him?
Oh yeah, we were good friends, man. We drove back to Tulsa together. I know Sam and I were going to go on the road and do tent shows before I became famous and before he got known. Because I was actually one of the mainstays at the Comedy Store before he ever made it, So,
but wasn't it hard to hang with him?
He came up to me one night and he said, and I didn't know him. He said, he was a big fan, and I was getting standing ovations every night, and I had a real crowd-pleasing act. And he said, "Hey, can you stick around? I don't go on till 2 a.m. Can you stick around and watch my set?" I said, "Sure, man." And so I stuck around and I watched him do his thing, and I literally was dumbfounded.
Right.
The wall at the back of the club, and just tears pouring down my face, out of control, laughing like a hysterical lunatic. And he came off stage, and I just said, "You're it, man.
Yeah.
You're it."
Wasn't he hard to hang with, though? Like I got really friendly with Sam, and I actually hung out with him and stuff, much like you did. But it was so intense, and especially when it got into the drug use and all that, that it was hard. There were not many real moments.
Well, the tough thing for Sam too was that he chose a character that had to maintain that beast status.
Yeah.
And you got to be careful what kind of avatar you create for yourself. Yeah,
he couldn't turn it off. I remember one time I invited him to my house. I said, "Why don't you just come over and have a regular dinner?" He was playing Westbury Music Fair, and and I just said, and he sat down and was like he was on fire, like the guy hadn't had a
wasn't hungry.
No, he literally
skipped to the pie.
He was not used to having a normal night where you just sit and have dinner.
Well, first of all, he showed up with 2 girlfriends.
Well, of course.
Yeah, right.
of course. Well, that was the thing about Sam. He was just this brilliant genius, but somewhere inside him, he was so lonely that he couldn't really go to bed or he couldn't go to sleep without being super high and being surrounded by 20 people. I know. It was sad in that way. And there was a certain point where I kind of backed away from him because I just felt like we were on different, pages.
Yeah.
We had a lot of fun together, man. Literally, he was going to teach me how to preach, and he was going to call me Lightning Boy. And we were going to go out in the tent circuit and do the healing thing and stuff. And
just to see how much money you could raise.
Just for fun, just to do it, just as a character, But I went back to his house in Tulsa, and I remember hanging out in the living room when him and brother Marnie were in the garage doing a radio show because no one knew he was a comic yet, so he was back to being Brother Kinnison,
right,
and doing the evangelical thing, and it was just incredible to watch. I mean, everybody in their family was a minister. It's like the dog was a minister.
I know.
It's like they had a hamster that was a minister. It was unbelievable.
And yet the irony is that, like, here he had his problems with drugs and everything, and then he gets hit by a drunk driver.
Yeah.
And dies.
We almost crashed in the car on the way to Tulsa because I was at the wheel and I fell asleep.
Oh dear!
I fell asleep, and we did that like three tires on the gravel thing, where you just have to pull it back onto the road. But I was kind of used to doing that after factory work. I literally used to work in a factory in Canada and drive 50 miles back home every night. And every single night of my life, I fell asleep and went off the road.
Oh, my God. It's a miracle you're alive.
Every single night of my life. Yeah.
It's a miracle.
Yeah, but it's a good thing they put that gravel on the side. And it's time to get back on the road.
Yeah.
Open the window and blast the radio. Yeah, but it was beautiful hanging out with guys like that, man. It was an incredible.
I know.
Sam became what he became because he saw the inequities of where he came from.
Yeah.
He tried to preach to. He started trying to preach to people in a Pentecostal setting that they were their own Christ.
Right.
That they were their own Christ consciousness. And
you following this whole Bill Cosby? Were you like a Bill Cosby guy? Did you really love him?
I had all the albums and stuff growing up for sure. Yeah.
It's pretty weird now seeing that trial going on, huh?
Yeah, but I don't know. I mean, I don't know what to think after being the subject of opportunistic lawyers. Exploitation. Anything can happen in this world. So I don't know what to think about all that. It certainly seems damning, but who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows, man? Who knows?
It's up to the jury now.
He definitely came up in the Playboy Mansion, kind of like where there was a lot of drugs, and maybe the line was blurred in some way. I just have never been turned on by the idea of humping an inert body.
You don't like that?
Not really.
You were never into necrophilia?
Not into necrophilia.
No. Yeah, me neither. I always
Thank
needed.
Goodness you didn't get that one.
I always needed some kind of consent.
I have a lot of weirdness, but not. That's not part of it.
Hey, do you watch the TV show Gotham at all? I was wondering your take. I think this guy who plays the Riddler, since you played the Riddler.
Yeah.
I think this kid, his name's Corey Michael Smith. I think he's doing a good job. What do you think?
I think he's good. I don't watch it all the time. I don't watch a lot of television, but I think he's good. I think he's good. I think that there's some good stuff on the show. But they talked about me being on the show and stuff, and I said, in your dreams.
Yeah, fuck you.
Oh no.
Well, listen.
It's all good stuff, but yeah.
Jim Carrey. He says, look, man, I'm executive producing a show called I'm Dying Up Here, and you really should watch it just based on who I am and the kinds of comedy I've given you. Certainly there's enough credibility there for you to check it the fuck out, right?
Yeah,
is that what you're saying?
It's an incredible cesspool of wonderfulness.
That's right. I'm Dying Up Here.
It's a great world, the whole comedy club world, man. I just want people to see it because it was an odyssey. And really, I mean, it's just, but within it, so many diamonds came out of that darkness,
Yep.
There, it's just beautiful, beautiful. I mean, it's everybody you know. Everybody on television. It's like incredible, the network of people that came out of that place, just magical stuff. And the time itself was magical, you know.
You don't go to clubs anymore, do you?
The funny thing was when I started looking at, doing this show, I did go down to the Comedy Store, and I hadn't been there in about 14 years. And I walked in, and there was so much love, man, coming toward me. It was just incredible. And the comics, one after another, were killing me, just slaying me. And I was able to, that night alone, we got 3 different people for the show. Guys that are, like Eric Griffin, who are doing amazing jobs as actors, and Andrew Santino, who's just slaying it as a dramatic actor. So
yeah, I mean, you don't think about it.
Older guys like Dom Herrera, who've been around forever. But if you see him, he slaughters an audience.
You put him in the show?
Yeah, I put him in the show. It's beautiful. And Rick Overton's in the show. He's playing the booker for the Tonight Show, and he's doing an amazing job.
It's really interesting.
Really fun for me to watch, man. It's a blast to be part of.
I was just thinking about it. It's kind of interesting when you think about it. There are guys who get on TV and in acting and everything who start as stand-ups, and then you have guys who are actors who like Belushi. Did you ever hang out with Belushi or those guys?
I never got to hang out with Belushi. It was funny because I ran into Judy Belushi, and one time, and she said, "Oh, John loved you," like that, and I started I walked away going, "Oh my God, John loved me! John loved me!
Right.
That's incredible, man! I'm so happy." And then I did the math, and I went back to her and I said, I don't think he could have loved me because I wasn't known by anybody.
Well, he would have loved you.
And she said, "Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake."
Yeah, but someone else.
I know he would have loved you.
Yeah, of course he would have. I still think it's amazing you didn't end up on Saturday Night Live. That is so weird to me.
Yeah, that's a crazy one. But I had a weird thing happen to me on the way into the audition, man. I just knew it wasn't going to happen.
I can't believe that. How do you know it's not going to happen?
I walked out of my car and some guy was trying to throw himself off the roof of NBC. Literally, I walked out of my car and I heard, "Don't do it, don't jump." And somebody was, yelling at a guy who was standing on the roof, trying to get the guts up to jump off the roof.
That was probably me. I was working there back then.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, I mean, you took that as a sign?
Yeah, immediately. That's all I could think about through the whole audition. It was like, is the guy dead or not?
And that fucked you up.
It did, man.
What are you doing the rest of the day? After we hang up the phone, what's the Jim Carrey day?
It's pretty early.
I'm gonna go to my church, to my Catholic church, and say confession to Father Shenanigans.
No, what are you gonna do?
No, I don't know. I'll be creative. Actually, what the hell do I have to do, Linda? Yeah. Oh, hey, you know what?
What?
Oh, today's the day I get to go and have lunch with Carl Reiner, man.
Oh, no shit.
Yeah.
That's pretty big.
It's huge.
Do you know him?
Huge. But you see, I never know what I'm doing from one day to the next. I'm the guy that just goes, "Point me."
Well, what do you mean?
Albuquerque.
Carl Reiner contacted you and said, "Hey, let's go to lunch"?
No, I went to their movie the other night. Their premiere of the movie. What is it? If I read the obit and I'm not in it, have breakfast. It's something like that.
Yeah.
Anyway, paraphrasing. But it was a really sweet movie about, guys that are still hoofing it after 90,
Right.
And
I watched a little bit of that this
with
weekend.
Mel
It's
Brooks,
good.
and I was sitting beside Dick Van Dyke, who's like my hero growing up, and we're rapping through the whole movie. And, so there are so many things about, what I do and, being a part of this that is just...
But how do you end up going to lunch with the guy? Like he said to you, "Let's just go"?
No, I had a lunch with George Shapiro because I hadn't seen him in years since I did Andy Kaufman,
Right.
And George was Andy's manager, so I called him up and said, "Hey, why don't we get some lunch or something?" And he was wonderful. We had a great lunch together, and I said, "You know what, call me up if those guys are getting together,
Right.
Call me up." I where he's now.
Yeah, and so you're going to go to lunch with Carl Reiner?
Yeah. Going to go over to his house, hang out.
I wonder what's doing there.
Yeah, well...
Carl Reiner's like 95 now.
Yeah.
He's 92, I think.
Something like that.
Yeah.
He says he gets up and he writes every morning still to this day.
Really?
Sharp. He's sharp. Yeah. Yeah, he's amazing.
And what are you going to do? You sit there. How long are you going
to? He's drooling.
well, we're 95. Let's see what we do.
Exactly, man.
Right.
Exactly.
All right, sounds like a fun day.
I'm just going, show me the way.
Sounds fun.
Yeah.
I should do some of that, actually get together with people.
Yeah, you really should reach outside of yourself for a second, Howard.
Yeah,
you're so happy about having, gotten to really know Don Rickles before he passed.
That's true.
And as soon as you start to love someone, they die.
Yeah, great. I finally open up to someone, and the guy's gone, and now I'm all bummed out.
Lennon. You're the angel of death.
Yeah, I start to open up.
No one wants to be friends. Better go see the doctor.
Yeah, watch out.
Hey, I got to say, by the way, I'm very excited because my grandson, he just hit a 3-run homer in the semifinals of the Encino Little League game and took his team to the finals, and they won the championship. Okay?
We expect nothing less.
It's incredible. He's like, and it proves one thing. You're never too young for metabolic steroids.
That's right. You put him on him at a young age, and look at how this kid is performing.
Incredible.
All right. What does your grandson call you?
Grandpa.
Really?
Yeah, but not in public. I won't allow it.
The fucking A is
I
right.
won't allow it in public.
Yeah, I mean, you're in Hollywood. You can't have that.
Yeah, who is he in public?
Yeah. What's your name in public?
Said, now, go get me my teeth bleach.
Yeah. Or he just goes, hey, that's the guy from The Mask.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, listen.
I haven't introduced him to all my movies yet. He's a big Grinch fan. He likes to watch The Grinch.
Yeah, I mean, shit. Look at who his grandpa is. It's the whole thing.
All my family do to stay in touch with me when I don't see them.
Yeah. Did you watch your movies?
They watch my movies.
Yeah, which is a great version of you.
It's the best possible version.
Exactly. It's perfect. Listen, the TV show is called I'm Dying Up Here, executive produced by Jim Carrey. That's what he's talking about. Sundays, 10 p.m. on Showtime. Check it out. It's the rich life of stand-up comics as they struggle to actually put it all together.
Yeah, man.
And it's all there. All right, listen.
Beautiful.
All right, man.
Hey, thanks for having me, man.
Yeah, thanks for calling in.
Good to talk to you again.
Loved it.
Robin, you've never looked more beautiful.
Of course.
Why, thank you. And it was fun talking to you this morning.
Yeah, all right. Now, listen. Have fun with Carl Reiner. Mention my name.
I will.
All right, thank you.
Cool, man.
All right, later.
Later, guys.
All right, Jim Carrey.
Bye.
It's Jim Carrey. Look at this guy. There you go. All hopped up with this new project,
Yeah, but, a different guy. Sort of happy, mellow.
Yeah. And he said, look.
Giving.
Because what the fuck do I need? I got enough dough. I can sit here and,
Yeah, even if he went to his closet, that would not be a bad deal.
Right. He's got a big closet. No double-decker tennis court, though. Doesn't want one.
No, he said he's not using the one he has now.
That's it. All right, anyway, I got to take a break. We'll come back. We'll do some news for you. We'll talk.